An interesting stream of questions for the Liberal Democrats came through, and let me summarise this way. Most people know that you stand for and have spoken about the benefits of immigration. You think that other parties don't speak about that enough. Let's put that to one side. The question that people are asking is, when it comes to the issue of small boats and asylum seekers, the qualification is that people are fleeing a country where they have a well-founded sense of fear of persecution. Why are people coming from France or the Netherlands or Spain, which are rich and democratic countries, asylum seekers? They are not fleeing persecution.
So we have a problem with this in our country. We shouldn't have 30,000 people in asylum hotels, and we certainly shouldn't have 90,000 people in the asylum backlog. So it is absolutely a problem, and the government needs to work harder and faster to fix it. People come to this country for all sorts of reasons. It can be historic reasons, it can be family ties, it can be because some of the pull factors that are going on, and I'm sure we'll talk about some of the gangs that are working and being modern slavers in this country. The business model that they have is so lucrative that that's encouraging them to force people to come across and work illegally. There are other factors at play. When you ask people who've come over on small boats, as the Migration Observatory of Oxford University has done, people say actually Brexit is a factor, because we used to have a returns agreement when we were members of the European Union, the Dublin system. That doesn't exist anymore, and migrants themselves have said that that has been a pull factor for them.
I don't think that still quite answers the question that has been raised. There are lots of reasons why people might want to move, but the issue of asylum is one which depends on the person fleeing having a well-founded fear of persecution. And why would somebody who is in France be justified in fleeing France? It's a democratic country.
So every country should play their role. There is a lot of instability in the world. You look at a number of countries that are really high grant countries, so Somalia, Eritrea, Sudan. These are countries where very high numbers of people who come across get granted refugee status because they have a valid claim.
All right. Zia Yusuf, you and your leader have been very much at the centre of this conversation, and Mr Farage has been pretty clear. I don't think we need to go over your policy, but there is a rather interesting question that's been raised by several people that have written into us. You want to bring down the numbers of immigrants, both legal and illegal, asylum seekers, labour market. Do you just want to bring down numbers of all people, or are you particularly concerned about one kind of immigrant or another, because they are young, or because they're male, or because they come from one country, or whatever? Is it all immigration, or are you concerned about some particular kinds of migrants?
Yeah, well, firstly, Trevor, you were talked about, when your parents came to this country, I think you said in the early 1950s, net migration was around 10,000 a year. When my parents came to this country in the early 1980s, net migration was around 30,000, 40,000 a year. Last year it was about 1 million. And by the way, during the 14 years of Tory government, they imported 11 million people. That is the equivalent of the population of Bangkok. That was imported by a party that promised in 4 consecutive manifestos that they were going to cut net migration down to the tens of thousands. To answer your question directly, number one, we need to stop the boats from coming. But number two, the biggest number we're going to bring down, which nobody else here has talked about, is the number of people who are already in this country illegally, Trevor. There's north of 1 million people in this country illegally. A lot of them are being paid for by the people in this audience and the people watching this program at home. That's why we announced Operation Restoring Justice, to put all of those people back to the countries from which they came. Beyond that, of course, that will mean the boats stop coming, because why would you pay a people smuggler to just get detained and deported? And in terms of net migration, in the last general election, we said it would be net zero, 1 in, 1 out. I think given how overwhelmed this country is going to be at the behest of the current Labour government and what the Tories did over 14 years, even that's going to be too many.
I still don't quite get how you're selecting the people you don't want, because your leader said, we do want people to come and work in the health service. We do want people to do certain jobs. Who is it that you do not want to come to this country? Who is reform worried about when it comes to immigration?
Trevor, the country's full. Our infrastructure is overwhelmed. We are going to have
By
to.
who?
We are going to have to freeze migration for a number of. By whom?
Yes.
The 11 million people that the Tories brought in over the last 14 years. And by the way, the OBRs, the government's own forecast for the next few years, suggests another 1.5 million net new people will arrive before the next election. Which is why, Trevor, we're not worried about who the people we need to bring in are. We need to deport the people already here.
Tonight is not my night, it's not your night, it is our audience's night. So I think they've heard enough from me and you. So let's come to the most important people to here tonight. And I want to start the evening by trying to get to the heart of why this issue has stirred such emotion and such anger, the kinds of sense that we've seen on the streets this summer. And I want to start with a question from Diane, who lives in Slough.
Hello.
Diane.
Hello. Right, so what I would like to know is that if this was 1942 and we had the amount of people that we currently have coming across the channel in small boats, we would not have hesitated to deploy the Navy and to line our shores with soldiers to protect us, to protect the country and to protect the people in the country. Why are we not doing that and sending these boats back, redirecting them back to the countries that they are coming from, which is a safe country, as has been stated, France? Why are we not returning them?
Thank you, Diane. Mike Tapp, why aren't we just sending these people back to France and using our military forces to make sure that happens?
Thank you, Diane. It's a solid question and something I've thought about in depth as well. It's complex. The issue we have here with deploying the Navy is if we put them in our waters, it's not enough. We'd need to be on the shores of France, and that's French territory. So effectively, we'd need to have French permission to be on the shores. So what we're doing at this point is ensuring we're working closely with the French operationally through things like technology, radars, drones, ensuring that they've got enough people on the beach. It's not enough at the moment. It's as simple as that. Otherwise, we wouldn't see the boats crossing as they are. But we are going to put in other measures. We're working hard with the French on returns, for example. And if there's that doubt when you're sat on the beach and you're spending £10,000 to get here, that you could be immediately removed back to France, you're much less likely.
But I don't think you're quite answering her question. Why aren't we putting the Royal Navy?
Well, I did answer the question in that you'd have to have French permission to do that.
We've got to have French permission to put our boats in the channel?
Right. Once you go into French waters, of course you do. The challenge we have with this sort of boat, and I must answer this properly for you, is they're very flimsy dinghies and they collapse on themselves. So if you start to try and turn one round, it collapses. You've then got up to 100 people in the water potentially dying. It's different in Australia because I have to make that point that they're still hulled, so it makes it much more complex. It is a top priority to get this sorted.
Zia Yusuf, you think this is not a bad idea, don't you?
Well, number one, people at home and the audience can take a view as to whether we need France's permission to deploy our own navy to stop these boats arriving on UK shores. Secondly, the notion that our brilliant navy and Royal Marines are incapable of boarding those boats.
I've served with the military.
That was absolutely what you implied with your answer.
What I'm saying is,
let him answer the question. Let him answer the question.
Quite offensive.
So listen. You're going to keep hearing words like further and faster. And what they do is they come onto programs like this and they try to reprogram you at home into forgetting about what a catastrophe the political class have inflicted on this country. Yes, we would have no hesitation in deploying the Navy, but here's the thing, Trevor, I keep saying this again.
Can I just stop you there? Because when I asked you that question last weekend, you said, we would put the Royal Navy on. And I said to you, what would be their orders? Would they be able to stop the boats? And you said, don't be ridiculous. They wouldn't be able to do it. They'd be there to observe.
They don't know.
No, hold on. That's all right, Trevor. Either you misheard me. That's not what I said.
Forgive me.
That's not what I said.
Forget the policy policy doesn't know.
That's not what I said.
Reform head of policy
That is
doesn't
not what I
know.
said. That is not what I said. No, but Trevor, with respect,
I
that
do
actually is
know
not what I
what
said.
people say on my own programme.
Yeah, and I was on your programme. I'm a primary witness to that conversation too, my friend. And so look, I'm not claiming that you're deliberately misrepresenting it, but I want to be really clear about what I did say, which was that, number one, we're talking about the boats right now, and that's obviously critically important, but there's north of 1 million illegal migrants in this country already. The reason why they are coming across the channel from France
Forgive
is
me,
because
we're not talking about that. We're trying to answer
Trevor,
Sorry, Diane, he
let
doesn't
me
know.
answer the question.
I'm really sorry.
Okay, let me
about that.
finish my answer. With respect, please let me finish my answer. The reason why they're coming across the channel from France, which is a safe country, is because we're a soft touch. We offer them a much better deal than the French. The new deal under Prime Minister Farage will be: you are detained by UK Deportation Command.
Forgive
you
me.
are detained.
Forgive
you're not
me.
allowed to walk around, and you are deported back to the country.
I don't
from
want to be
which
rude,
they
but
came.
what you're actually not doing is answering her question. Are you in favour of putting the Royal Navy in the Channel or not? And if you are, what would they do?
We would have no hesitation using the Navy to detain all of those illegal migrants, transport them directly to a detention camp, and then deport them.
Lisa, what do you make of this?
So Diane talked about the early 1940s. I am immensely proud that our country welcomed my nan in the late 1930s when she was fleeing the Nazis. She was Jewish, she was living in Germany, and had she not come here, I would not exist, and she came to contribute to our country, and I'm immensely proud that our country welcomed her and enabled her to contribute in that way. We've got a really proud record that we should be really proud of. I think you're right to ask about small boats, but I want to take it even further back. Most people who are fleeing war and persecution want to seek asylum in a country much closer to home. They want to return to their country when the war or the instability is over. And so what we should be doing far earlier than when people get to the French coast is actually supporting the efforts that are going on throughout the United Nations. This war and instability is a global problem that needs a global solution. We are at our best when we take a leadership role on the international stage. And so cutting the aid budget is short-sighted and doesn't help address the problems closer to where
Can we just stick with this
happening.
question about the Channel? Before I come to you, Kieran, I want to come to Cara, who I think has a point of view on this.